Welcome to Work in Progress, Conversations with Creators. I'm your host, Logan Roy Spiteman. On today's program, I have with me a hero of mine, John Waters, the filmmaker, known for Pink Flamingos, Cry Baby, Pecker, many amazing films, Hairspray, and he's talking about his new show called Going to Extremes and what it means to be extreme today. Really, really fascinating conversation. I hope that you enjoy.
If you enjoy our podcast, please like and subscribe and consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal to help us bring you more content like this. You can find this episode and all of our podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal website, abqjournal.com, as well as YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. See the show notes for a discount code on a digital subscription. Thank you for supporting the Albuquerque Journal, New Mexico's leading news.
So, Mr. John Waters, thank you so much for joining me here. It's a real pleasure. I've been a fan for a long time, and it's great to be able to speak with you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And you have a show called Going to Extremes. So tell us about Going to Extremes.
Well, I think it used to be a comedy show, and then it was a spoken word show, if you want to be arty. But actually what it is now is a religious ceremony for the insane. It's a sermon preaching to the converted as we celebrate the joy of bad taste spiritually.
Wonderful. But let me ask you about bad taste, especially in this environment that we're living in. And I was going to say, it's great meeting you. I wish we could have met under other circumstances, because I feel like we're living in a kind of scary time. But also, I don't want to talk too much about actual politics, like, policy and stuff. But we have someone in the White House who is kind of known for really bad taste.
No, he ended bad taste. He ended bad taste. And her Christmas decorations and the new documentary about her will be the final nail in the coffin of celebrating bad taste. So there's no such thing as good bad taste anymore. He ruined even that.
So what do we do? Those of us that
Well, that's
love
what
you
my
and that
show
love
is
bad
about.
taste.
That's what you pay to see.
Okay. You can't give it
That's
away.
why it's called Going to Extremes. I name all the way that we can be extreme and get ourselves. We have to make our enemy laugh. That's the only way. And then they listen to you, and then you have sex with them, and then you change their mind. Kind of like what the Moonies did. We have to do that politically and use humor, not preaching to people. I think that never works. It makes them go the opposite direction.
Yeah. No, I get that. And it does seem like there's been a big resistance, a backlash against, sort of politically correct language and cancel culture. And,
Well, now it's switched. The Republicans have trigger warnings, and they have they're woke, and the left has no sense of humor, which is the kiss of death. So I'm proudly an insane person in the middle for the first time in my life.
Yeah, you talk about that being at the extreme. What does the extreme middle mean?
It means that we can't stand people that are humor impaired. And if you want to change somebody's mind, you don't make the enemy feel stupid, even when they are. I mean, even racists liked Hairspray. They were so stupid they didn't realize it was against them.
Yeah. Well, like in Cry Baby, you actually show these different communities, some of them, like with Confederate flags and there's
Well, that
black
was
people
very
and queer.
historically correct then. I mean, and I live in Maryland, it's on the Mason-Dixon line. Confederate flags at the time in 1950s, when juvenile delinquency broke out and everything, were completely true. I mean, it was a period of time. It's like, I don't get when the Motion Picture Association tries to give movies that have cigarettes in it an R rating. Well, every movie about the Second World War, everyone smoked. Are you suddenly not going to have that anymore?
Right. Yeah, you kind of eliminate like most French films and
Well, no, you eliminate the truth if it's a historical movie.
Oh, yeah.
In the
right.
50s, that would be very correct. Cry Baby took place before rock and roll, kind of before it
Yeah.
came out, when rockabilly was beginning, right between Frank Sinatra and Elvis.
Yeah. Let me ask you one more thing, and then we're going to move off that topic. But one more thing about President Donald J. Trump. Last year, he released, I don't know if you saw this, there was an AI video showing him flying in an airplane, dropping diarrhea on
Yeah.
protesters. What did you think of that
Well, that's what I mean. He's smart that way, because you can't. He doesn't care if we're mad. They love it when we're offended. So don't rise to the bait, really. I come up with some good ideas of comic rebellion that we can do. He only said one funny thing ever, and that's when he said to Harris in the debates, "Biden hates you."
Yeah.
That was funny because it was so kindergarten.
Right. Yeah. But all right. So it's interesting. I'm gonna have to go to the show and hear
Yeah, because that's
what the
my
new
whole show
strategy is.
is
Yeah.
about going to extremes, about what can we do today when we're in the first situation ever where protests don't work because you can't embarrass him.
Yeah. Let me ask you. You're a fan of Jean Genet and Denton Welch. And I think of these writers, these are, this sort of semi-autobiographical literature, and the narrators that are kind of them, they have this kind of contempt and disdain, I think, but also a great appreciation for aesthetics and, um, which anyway, if you could maybe talk a little bit about them and their importance on how
Well,
you developed.
certainly I like minorities that can't even fit in their own minorities. And that was Jean Genet. And that was all my fans, basically. They're gay people that can't get along with other gay people. They're sometimes African Americans who don't fit in. Maybe they don't want to be poets. I don't know. They're all people that have rebelled and use humor to make fun of the rules that we live by supposed rebels live by. Now that world has more rules than my parents had. So I've always gotten away with this for so long, I think, because I make fun of things I like and I make fun of the rules that my audience lives by, not the rules they rebelled against growing up, but the
Yeah.
rules they live by now in their so-called outsider community.
Yeah, I mean, and in a way, sometimes some of the things you've done more recently, like you were on the cover of Town and Country magazine, which I think you said was your mom's favorite magazine. Like there's
Yeah, that
something
to me, it
almost
looked, I
rebellious
love
about
doing
that.
that kind of thing because it looked like National Lampoon, but it was real. That's still one of
Yeah.
those my favorite cover I've ever done because who would have ever thought? And then I was on the cover of Modern Painters magazine. I only did one painting in my entire life. That probably infuriated so many painters that had been to art school their entire life or anything. So I try to be in things people wouldn't expect me to do. Like I was in the Alvin the Chipmunk movie. I don't think
Yeah.
many parents, and they changed the dialogue so Alvin mentioned pink flamingos in it. That's kind of really amazing to me that that happened. So, and the fact that the Academy Award Museum gave me a show with 12 rooms and my stuff, how did that ever happen? You just stick around long enough and you stick to your guns and you don't take yourself too seriously, even though the work I'm proud of, I made fun of myself first, and that's what you have to do. Then you're never mean.
Uh-huh. And other things that are unexpected, maybe, having multiple maniacs in the Criterion collection. Was that a
That was
sort of.
amazing. Even more so, it was theatrically presented by Janus Films. So when I saw that logo that I grew up on with Truffaut and Bergman presenting multiple maniacs was still a shock to me to see that.
Do you think it deserves that? I mean,
Yes, of course, I'm proud of it. I don't accept any of this with irony. I mean, I'm thrilled by it. It's amazing to me. It just shows how time can change everything. But the movies are worse than they were then, probably. And then the government picked it as one of the great American films for the National Registry. I'm trying to picture that screening. Was it the singing anus? What was it that made them say, yes, this is the one that we should honor it? It's astounding to me. But I go with it. I'm happy. I think it gives hope to everybody. Most every movie, every artwork, anything that caused trouble in the beginning was hated. And then but I like things I originally hate. And then I learned to realize, oh, wait a minute, maybe I love those things because they're changing how I think about it. And that's what I'm trying to do always is use humor to get your defenses down. Humor is political. Humor is how I didn't get beat up in high school. Humor is how you get through life. And without humor, you are not only a bore, you usually lose.
Yeah. How do you keep from becoming boring and square as kind of get more, you can see in your career starting out very underground and moving into more of the mainstream and getting more fame
And then I went back to the gutter down at the bottom of the dirty shame. I've written books, I do shows, I host music concerts. I have youth spies that keep me abreast on new music and stuff.
Yeah.
So basically, I just think I'm interested in human behavior. And I don't think I had more fun in the 60s when I was young. I think people are having just as much fun getting laid in Minneapolis in a riot today.
Yeah, yeah. One of my favorite things you did, this is maybe, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago, you did that book Car Sick because you hitchhiked across America. And
When I
some of
was
the
66 years old by myself. Yes.
right, yeah, and I mean, I read it, and it's, I mean, kind of grueling, the descriptions of you standing in the rain and all the boredom that I think maybe was but
Sorry.
then, some of the people that picked you up, it's like, a Republican, a coal miner, a pastor's wife, people that maybe you're not interacting with on a
It
daily
was great.
basis.
Not one gay person picked me up, pussies. And I did get a ride in a big giant truck, and I never felt gayer climbing up the side of those steps to get in that truck. But he was great. He was really nice. And
Yeah.
everybody that picked me up, I always have women friends of mine say, I never can meet a straight man. Well, all the men that picked me up were straight, and mostly all of them talked about how much they loved their second wives. So
Mhm.
I'm saying if you want to meet a heterosexual man, just go hitchhike in the Midwest. They're really nice.
Did it change your perception of Middle America or
No,
kind of
it
main
didn't, because I believe all people are kind of interesting, their behavior. That's why I'm never bored. And that's why really I'm a writer, because I've never made a movie I didn't write. I've done every
Yeah.
show I write. So to me, no, it didn't disappoint me. It made me have faith in it. The same way you have to challenge yourself. When I was 70 years old, I took LSD again, which I hadn't done for 50 years. And I don't need to do it again, but it's good to take, because now as you get older, if your family thinks you have dementia, you can just say, I'm tripping.
What was that like? I didn't read about that experience with LSD that
Oh, I took it with Mink Stole that I hadn't
oh,
we
yeah.
took it 50 years ago, and we did it again. It was great. I got the best acid ever. And it was no pussy microdoses. We were like, it was 15 hours of hallucinating in Provincetown. But it was Bear Week. We didn't go out. That would have been too scary.
Bear you mean, like actual the animals?
No, gay
Oh,
bears.
okay. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Some
Are
would
I
call
guess
them, they
and
try to act like animals, but they don't.
they would have been scary on
Well,
acid, I guess?
nude bears, thousands of them walking down the street while you're tripping, yes. I think it would have been definitely, not exactly psychedelic, but I guess it would have made the trip even
Yeah.
more
Um, w
vivid, let's put it that way. But since we were a little nervous what it was gonna be like after we hadn't done it for 50 years, we didn't wanna push it.
yeah, yeah. Have you ever done DMT?
Yes, I did. I've done all drugs pretty much except the one I hated that when I stopped. I stopped taking drugs as soon as I got successful. Usually it's
Yeah.
the other way around. That's when people start taking drugs. Uh, the drug I thought I've never taken drugs again was ecstasy, a drug that made you love everybody, which sounds like the worst high I've ever heard of in my entire life. Picture me in a cuddle pile.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
So no,
No.
now they'd all just, I just did a big interview with High Times where I say about every drug I've ever taken. And I love the idea. I didn't know that High Times still comes out, but it does.
Yeah. I only tried ecstasy one time in college. I was by myself, and I just brushed my teeth for 5 hours, and it was wonderful.
I would think if you loved yourself, you would masturbate, but I don't know.
No, I don't it was
Yeah.
just that was enough for me, I guess, whatever, but, let's see. Let me ask you about fashion, 'cause, the philosopher Jean Baudrillard, I think, said, "Fashion is what you get when you take the beautiful and you mix it with the energy of the ugly."
Well,
Do
I
you think
believe that's
that's
true. Yeah, I
mm,
think, of course, my favorite designer that I wear all the time is Come to Garcon, Ray Kawakubo, who
mhm,
reinvented the clothes and make them rip, torn up to deconstruct them. That word now, the Gap has clothes that are like that now.
right.
My mother, I mean, people's mothers wear clothes from department stores that have threads hanging off them on purpose. She changed what you do is what you're not supposed to do and exaggerate it and make it better. So to me, fashion, I do wear some fashion. I can't find anything in thrift shops anymore. I look stupid in it. So I spend a lot of money to look poor. And then at the same time, when you do dress like that, then you get hired in the fashion world. I've done three big campaigns for Yves Saint Laurent, Calvin Klein, and Nike. Nike I've never caught a ball in my life. Why would they ask me to do it? But it was great. I was happy to do it.
Albuquerque has a great fashion scene that's kind of a lot of recycled and trash fashion that you might
Well, I could see
enjoy.
that. Albuquerque reminds me a lot of Baltimore when I've been there. I even went
Yeah,
to some school that was in a mental institution, an ex-mental institution there. I think it was a school. But yes, Albuquerque does remind me of Baltimore. I always feel very home at there. In Santa Fe, I've had a couple of photography shows there, so I have
yeah.
fun there too. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I have a friend I went to college with who grew up in Baltimore, and she said that they used to play this game in high school called Hide a Poo, where like they get invited to a party at someone's house and they poop and hide it somewhere in the house. So one time they hid it like in a coffee machine and the people were like, "What's that awful smell?" That it took them a long time.
No, I didn't hear of that one. I didn't play that, but it
No.
doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me.
What is it about Baltimore that makes it Baltimore?
Well, it's still cheap and it's still scary, which means that there can be a bohemia, that young people can live here and invent new ways to rebel. You need a bad, unsafe street for the next fancy restaurant to open in. You need a horrible neighborhood that gay people can fix up and flip. You need all that to have a bohemia. And Baltimore is still like that. I always joke I want to still put the bumper sticker out that says The Wire. It's still like that.
Yeah. Are you ever worried that, like, what we call bohemia or the counterculture, underground, like, that's gonna like, that could disappear and everyone just becomes mainstream or it gets
Well, I
absorbed?
think there will always be a way that the bohemia will be there because bohemia is when art types get on the nerves of cool art types that came right before them, not straight society. They have to startle the people that were cooler than them and become cooler. And that's what bohemia is always about. And I think the new sexual revolution is completely that because nobody's gay or straight anymore. They're non-binary and they say we're here, we're not queer, and nobody's used to it. That's I think kind of the new politics, which is a new sexual revolution.
Let me ask you about your novel, Liar Mouth. And in it, you have a character that does plastic surgery on pets. And let me just say, I know this is a real thing because I had a friend in Florida. She used to be a prima ballerina. She had a horse who got a nose job.
Well, I didn't think it ever was real. When I wrote it, I did not know of a real one, but I'm not surprised if there is real ones. Certainly, it will begin in Los Angeles, and yes, yes. So certainly, it's not that far fetched, but I did make it up.
Yeah, I mean, hers, it was, kind of a tragedy. The horse got its nostril stuck on a tree branch. It was a medical necessity. It wasn't just because it had a long nose. But,
Right, right. It wasn't an ethnic problem.
yeah, yeah, but, no, but it's such a funny idea of, like, people because it's so people have designer pets and, why not, have plastic surgery? It's not yeah, like I
Completely.
s
I did a piece in an art show called Reconstructed Lassie, and it was Lassie, what Lassie would look like if she got a facelift. And I think today they go through every movie now and digitally facelift the actors. So it costs adds $1 million to your budget, but it's routinely done in Hollywood now.
yeah, yeah. I heard you said once that, any movie you watch, you can find something good in it, even if it's like a lamp.
Yeah, that's true. You can just look for detail. If you hate the movie, just don't pay, start because I can always tell if a movie I hate in the first 40 minutes, I'm not going to start liking it. So then I just look for things to like that lamp or things that you're not supposed to notice deep in the scenery behind.
Have you ever walked out of a movie or not watched the whole thing?
Yeah, not usually though, but I ever walked out, especially no, not for a long time. I usually stick through it. I always finish a book too, even if I don't like it.
Yeah, you're a completionist.
Yes.
Yeah. I have to admit, the first time I saw Pink Flamingos in college, I walked out, during
At which scene?
the chickens are being killed,
Well, the chickens, that's the one thing I probably wouldn't do today, even though I eat meat and I eat chicken and we
Yeah,
got the chicken. I've always said this is true. We got it at a market where it said freshly killed chicken. Well, we took the chicken. It got to be in a movie. It got to have sex and then we ate
right.
it. So we made the chicken's life better, arguably. Would I do that today? Probably not. But
Yeah.
I think this year they had a
Yeah.
campaign that said wool hurts. Well, how about moths? They eat wool, and I hate moths. I'd like to kill every moth there ever is.
Yeah. I will say after I saw Pink Flamingo, then I watched, Divine Horseman by Maya Deren. I'm like, "Well, they're killing chickens too.
Well,
Why am I okay with that?" Yeah.
I put that in because it was Mondo Cane, and all those movies had that killing of animal stuff. That
Yeah.
was at the time. That was a comment on that satire has been lost in time, definitely.
Yeah. Do you judge people based on what they know you from?
No, it's a relief when they don't know me. No, I love it when people only like children only recognize me from The Simpsons, or usually when I'm on the subway in New York, I'm only recognized for being in the Chucky movies.
Yeah, I just found out that you were in the Chucky. I never watched any of those, but that was kind of a surprise to learn. But I like that you kind of put yourself in unexpected places.
Yeah, that's the most fun of doing things that people don't expect you to do. Me being in an independent movie is not that surprising. Me being in Law and Order kind of is.
Yeah, and you might get a new audience that then looks you up. They're like, "Oh, let's see what this
Exactly,
person's done."
exactly. People
And you
might know me from Chucky and then they watch the movies and discover a new kind of horror that I made because my mother thought all my movies were horror movies.
Yeah, yeah. You know who you kinda remind me of now and in your more distinguished years? If you ever seen, like, the Beatles film, A Hard Day's Night, and I
Yeah,
think it's, like, Paul's grandfather, they call him the clean old man.
I forget that.
Yeah, it's like they it's sort of a play on the dirty old man, but they're like, "Oh,
Right.
yeah, he's a very clean old man," you know? But
Well,
anyway,
I'm clean as far as bathing, but, I still have a dirty mind sometimes, which I think is healthy.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of your career, you kinda play on that double meaning of, like, dirty or filthy,
Of course,
um
yeah. The
mm,
word filth I use as a compliment because I think the word trash has been ruined by Trump. Camp is so tired, old gay word left over from the '60s, and, filth was a good punk word too.
yeah, yeah. Um, let's see, what else do I have on my list? Oh, I heard that your favorite poet is John Ashbery. I studied with him at Bard years ago.
I just
Uh,
read his life, the new biography. No,
I
that's
haven't
James. That's not him. That's the other one, James Scheiger. What's his name? But yes, I do like his poetry, especially because I love things that are really hard to read and you don't understand. And sometimes his are impenetrable, but that's why I really like him. And my favorite book of all is Gertrude Stein's The Making of Americans, which is
Oh, yeah.
actually impossible to read. I have it beside my bed, and every night I try to get through another page, and I
I
really respect that.
In the time that we have, what's a message that you'd like the readers of the Albuquerque Journal to hear?
Well, I don't send messages. Somebody said that's for used to say that's for telegrams. I hope that I make you laugh, and in that laughter, you'll listen and you'll open your mind to try to consider that there's a reason for everybody's behavior. And maybe you weren't lucky. You were unlucky and had a horrible family. Maybe you were lucky and got a good one. Life isn't fair. And as long as you begin to accept that, you can whine about how you were raised until you're 30 years old. After that, get over it. Life isn't fair. Stop complaining. Move on with the hand you were dealt.
Well, I think that's a good way to end, and thank you again for being here. This has really
Sure,
been a
thank
pleasure.
you. And I look forward to coming. I haven't been there in a while.
Sounds good. Thank you.